This right here is a neglected avocado seedling. I planted this guy about 75 days ago, and since then I have done absolutely nothing to care for it. I did not do that on purpose. It was an accident. I simply used this seed as a prop in a video to show how to use toothpicks and a glass to plant an avocado seedling. When I was done with the video, I just set this thing aside on my patio and never went back to it. The other day, I was straightening out my patio and I came upon this guy and I'm like, oh my God, it grew. And it reminded me of something I'm always telling to novice growers. Y'all do too much to your trees. As someone who's frequently asked advice about how to grow avocado trees, I find myself telling people more often to stop something or some things they are doing than to actually engage in new activities. Most people who reach out to me for help are doing too much. These trees want to grow. These trees want to thrive. Look, as the water receded, as the water evaporated, it chased after the water with its roots. It eventually got enough nutrients from the water that it was able to sprout a stem and leaves to get the sunlight. This guy wants to live. So many of you have left comments about what you call volunteers. Little seeds that you had thrown away in your mulch pile only to go out a month or two later and find a tree growing. So many of you have told me about seeds you threw in a plastic bag with the intention to plant and then forgot about them, and when you went out to the plastic bag, a tree had actually sprouted. And I say yes, because these trees want to grow. The best thing we as growers can do for our trees is supply their basic needs, then get out of the way. These trees only need 4 things to survive. They need nutrition, they need soil and fertilizer. They need water. They need sunlight, and they need space. And when I talk about space, I don't just mean room to grow up. I mean room to grow out, room to grow down, and also room to grow out underground. A lot of times when I tell someone they're doing too much, they push back on me. They're so proud of the long list of nutrients and activities and things they've done to the tree. Oftentimes the list is so long, I get about 4 or 5 into it and I can't even continue reading. They get very scientific, they get very technical. And I remind them that a tree is a 30-year project. When you engage in a 30-year project, you don't have daily activities. You don't even have weekly activities. Often you don't even have monthly activities. Our job as growers is nothing more than to give these trees what they need and eliminate the things that will hinder their growth. We give them their soil, their fertilizer, their water, their sunlight, and their space, and we remove weeds. We scan for pests. If there's pests, we can remove them. If vines try to take over our trees, we can devine the tree. But then we just got to step back and let Mother Nature run her course. Now that I've discovered this guy has survived, he's kind of earned a place in my heart. So I'm going to transplant him. I'm going to put him in a pot of soil and start to grow him here with his brothers and sisters. It's very easy to take one of these toothpick glass of water trees and transfer them to soil. All you need is a pot of regular potting soil, and I usually mix like a couple of spoonfuls, like 2 or 3 soup spoonfuls of 666 fertilizer per 1 gallon pot, and kind of shake it up in the soil, and then make an indentation deep enough to take those roots. And I simply remove the tree from the glass. And while I have this out, I want to point something out to you. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why people start fussing with their trees so much. A lot of people don't realize that half of a tree's biomass is below the ground. They want to see a stalk come up. They want to see leaves. They want to see flowers and branches, etc. And they don't see anything, so they start to panic and fuss with the tree. What they don't realize is the tree is being much more busy in its early life underground. It's much more important that the tree gets these roots going so that he can suck up all the nutrients to be able to grow a healthy stem and trunk and branches and leaves and eventually flowers and fruit. So you want to be very careful with your roots. So I put a big indentation here, and all I'm going to do is gently set this guy in here. I'll remove these toothpicks. You don't even have to remove the toothpicks. So I'm going to just, like I said, gently, I don't want to destroy that root base. I'm just going to kind of fill in And as we always do when we plant our seeds, I leave just a little bit, 10 to 20% of the top of the seed peeking out the top. And since the shade house isn't scheduled to get water until tomorrow, I'm going to water this guy right now when I put him in. Now this isn't sparkling water. I'm just using this can. I filled it with water in my kitchen before I came out. And this ain't special water. This ain't magic water, you know. It's just regular old, well, in my case, well water. In your case, tap water would be just fine. Look at enough so he starts to drip. I'll set this sucker down. Now he'll probably suffer a little bit of transplant shock going from the glass to soil like this. But I'll get him on the regular watering schedule now with his buddies here, and every 2 months or so I'll add a little bit of fertilizer around the edge of the pots, and then when grafting season starts, I'll come out, I'll go take a cutting out in my grove, maybe a Simmons avocado. I've been planting a lot of Simmons lately, and I'll clip this guy off. I'll graft in a little scion from a Simmons tree, and then I will let it thrive. Then I'll put it in a bigger pot, grow it in that bigger pot for maybe a year or even 2 years. And then when I have space, I'll move it out into the grove. But you know, this idea of doing too much, it doesn't just apply to trees. You see, there's a concept called the law of diminishing marginal returns. And the law of diminishing marginal returns says that we eventually hit a point where each additional unit of contribution yields a proportionately smaller unit of benefit. So let's go back to the tree example. I took this seedling, I put it in a glass of water 75 days ago. I sat it on my back porch in partial sunlight and I forgot about it. That was a very minimal unit of effort, but I got a huge unit of return. I got a tree. Now, if I had gone out about every week to 10 days and dumped out the yucky brown water and filled it back up to the top with nice fresh water, that would have been an additional unit of effort. In the amount of time this tree was sitting on my back porch, if I had frequently changed the water and kept the water topped off, I definitely would have wound up with a tree that's taller, more full, more leaves, with a better developed root system. So I would have added a second unit of effort, which is changing the water every 10 days. And I would have received a unit of benefit, which was a bigger tree with a more developed root system. I could have gone out every morning and sat it on a stool or a stump, and then gone out at noon and turned it, and then gone out at 4 p.m. and turned it again, and then went back out and took it back onto my porch at night. Another unit of effort. But what would I have gotten in return? Would I have gotten a bigger tree? Would I have gotten a healthier tree? I don't know, maybe a little bit, right? But would the return on that effort be anywhere close to what I got simply by putting the seed in water and setting it down and forgetting about it? No. Would have been marginally less. Let's say I came out every day and went on Pandora and found a classical music station, and I played classical music for my tree an hour a day. Admit it, I know some of you do this. Probably wouldn't have got any benefit at all. And that's what I see happening to those of you who reach out to me with questions. You take your tree and you're looking at it every day, you're monitoring it, you're measuring it, you're worried because one little leaf starts to curl. And we tend to forget that this is a 30-year project. So eventually you hit a point where the next thing you want to do to your tree, that next unit of effort, is not going to give you a correspondingly large unit of benefit. In fact, it's going to give you ever decreasing units of benefit. You guys are highly motivated people. You're into this. You want to be out fussing and tinkering with your plants. But you know what? As I said before, this is a 30-year project. There's times you're not going to do a thing to your tree for 4, 5, 6 months at a clip. Take that time and do something else. Maybe you could learn how to plant some orchids. Maybe you got a spot on your property you could clear and plant something new. But please, stop fussing with your tree. The message I want to leave you with is everything we do has just the right amount of work. With your tree, you plant your tree, you give it what it needs, you eliminate its obstacles to growth, you're going to have a tree. You fuss with it like crazy, on the other hand, your tree's going to die. Now, if you'd like to try planting one of these seedlings, the best place to find a seed is inside of an avocado. And the best place to get an 8-pound box of avocados is Guacfarm.com. Guacfarm.com. During avocado season, which is typically late May through about January, we sell 8-pound boxes of avocados at Guacfarm.com. We also sell t-shirts in different styles and colors. And depending on the season, we often have various types of tropical fruit. Monstera deliciosa, mango, mamey. Right now it's December, which means we are harvesting the Monroe variety. And believe it or not, this, of the dozen varieties we grow, this is one of our smallest. This guy here probably weighs about a 1 3/4 pound. Some of our other varieties actually get bigger than 3 pounds. In any case, they're way bigger than the typical Hass variety you see at the supermarket. I've come to the point where I have put the appropriate amount of effort into this video. So I'm going to go back inside and start a different project. While I do that, you go to guacfarm.com and I will see you on the next video.